Welcome back to Colors Are Crutch. My name is Max Sternberg, also known as Wounded Satellite. I'm joined by my usable, incredible, amazing co-host, Max B, the Florian guy. But today, we got a very, very special guest for you today. Not only is he known for the Kellen stuff, but he's also the reason that I actually got into CDH. I would have never started this format if he didn't have his deck out. So let's give a big warm welcome to Tyler motherfucking Ransby. That was after 17 seconds right there. Okay.
Close enough. Tyler, man, what's up, dude? Thanks for joining us, man.
Absolutely, a pleasure.
My first experience meeting Tyler was at Oktoberfest, where we played the most responsible game of Magic in the history of the format.
That was wild. Yeah. That was a turn one fish that stuck around for 4 turns, was it? Right?
Yeah, and nobody fed even one card.
It's wild.
And Tyler had a handful of rocks, right? Like, I mean, you had
all the free rocks.
Nope. Just sitting there responsibly on Kellen.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't have done it. I would have sent it.
I bet.
100%.
No, we all looked across the table at each other. We all kind of did the, yes, we're going to do this.
I would need an exclusively vocalized fish pack.
We would have lost. We would have absolutely lost, too, if we had fed it, because the Blue Farm player still almost got there. But if we had fed that fish,
it wasn't explicitly vocalized pact, too. We talked it out as a table a lot, yeah.
And
I think the game ended in a draw, right? Is where that landed?
It did. Yeah, I actually cast a pact off of my Doffy and forced the draw at the very end.
Yeah, that's right.
But see, Tyler, if you just played all your rocks, you could have just won instead.
I don't know if that's the case, but I'll never know.
I don't think so. But yeah, man, it's great to have you on. Always a pleasure to talk to you, man. Always a good time.
Same.
And what we're gonna do something fun today. Like, we're gonna do the Outlaws of Thunder Junction set review. Take a little break from all the tournament action and round by round stuff. Instead, just talk through some of these wacky cards. I'll start with this. Tyler, what do you think of the set so far?
It seems sweet. I mean, they're continuing the trend of making mechanics that are doubtless not going to have reminder text on most cards, which is going to be annoying for the first couple months. But if they could just fucking stop doing that, that would be cool. But other than that,
no, I was teaching someone how to play Magic the other night, and it was in my brain. I was like, oh, it doesn't explain what Scry does on these cards anymore. It used to always tell you what Scry did or anything like that. Like, we were playing precons, he plays the Temple of Blue-Green or whatever, and I'm just like, okay, I have to explain this to you. Actually, it doesn't just say.
Yeah. You have to have access to Gather to play Magic now. It's just required.
Yeah. I like the set too. I like the flavor. I like, it's wacky and it's out there, and like people are like, oh, why are they doing cowboys? I'm like, dude, they did rat ninjas a couple sets ago, so what are you complaining about? Come on.
Yeah, we did a cyberpunk set, we did a mob set. I really like that. If you look at any piece of artwork in this entire set, it's Magic character, put a cowboy hat on them. That's all it is,
pretty much
on repeat. It's so funny.
I'm not usually that big on like Wild West flavor type stuff, and so I was a little like, whatever about it. And then they finally got me with the card Prickly Pear. That just made me giggle, and I was like, all right, I'm in. Like, fine.
Nice. I'll put that on screen.
They sent Holy Cow.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love that card. It's not even terrible. It's actually not that bad. I mean, it's bad, but it's not that bad.
It's pretty bad. Well, they said I didn't hear this, but apparently in one of their things where they talked about the cards and talked about them coming out with Holy Cow, they gave it flash specifically so that you could flash it in and your opponent might go, oh, holy cow. That was unexpected.
You read the color text, right, where it's basically in the pig's eye you saw a glimmer of hope or something like that.
Awesome.
Funny.
Jesus,
so funny. But yeah, one thing we forgot to mention in the beginning, so I'll mention it now, is we are sponsored by Top Deck. They're the guys who make all these tournaments happen. It's their command tower software that makes these tournaments run smoothly.
Welcome to TopDeck.gg, the greatest tournament software in the whole world. Whether you're running an event, playing for the biggest prize, or want to advertise your shop to thousands of players around, we have the software for you. With our amazing intuitive pairing, we make playing Magic an absolute breeze. All of your customers, all your participants, they can check their standings in real time. they're right there for them. They can see their pairings, they can see their results, and they can submit their round without having to turn in any of those crappy paper slips. If you want to play Magic the best way, if you want to use the best software there is, you better go to topdeck.gg.
We love you guys. Thanks for sponsoring us. And if you like these videos, please like and subscribe. Check out our Patreon. Check out our Discord. And if you want coaching, Max here.
Oh, yeah. If you want someone who hasn't missed a top cut in all of 2024 and has been doing it on like a bunch of different strategies, I offer CDH coaching. You can hit me up on Discord or Twitter, both as Wounded Satellite.
All right. So I guess before we get into the actual cards, real quickly, what tournaments have you guys played in? What's coming up? I'll start with Tyler. What do you got going on?
Haven't done any big ones this year. I'm looking forward to. I really wish I was going to Punt City, but I can't make that, unfortunately. I'm looking forward to the one in Columbus, Cowtown, or whatever it's called. Yeah. I can't remember the names, but I'm super stoked for that. Like big cap eminence events are always a blast for sure. So that should be pretty sweet. We also have another small play to win one. We had one earlier this year that I was able to take down, but it's only a 64-person cap, but still very fun at a spot like half an hour from us that I really enjoy. So we just announced the next one of those for May 4th, and it is already full as of I guess like a couple hours after it posted. So
really, wow,
yeah, this just keeps happening. I think because they open it up to like the patrons like a day before everyone else, and it usually is just like gone on our patron thing. So looking forward to that as well. But I think that's all that's on my radar for now. What do you guys got going on?
I just played in a local this last weekend on Obnixilis. That was super fun to bring back the Schlobby boy. We've got Punt City 3 this weekend. I have no idea what I'm doing the weekend in the middle there. I might take a weekend off. I might play in some online or in-person event. And then I have Saltfest down in Orlando, Florida. I'm going to be hanging with Manila Midget for the weekend. That one, I think it's like the cap on that is like 200 people. It could get huge. I'm not sure how many are signed up right now. I know there's definitely still spots available. That seems like a great one to check out. And then, yeah, I was gonna look into the play to win one, but it's already gone.
Yeah, they're small.
And then I mean the Cowtown, the Cowtown in June is gonna be sick. That one's gonna be an awesome event.
Very excited.
I'll be at Punt City 3 as well, so I'll be there this coming weekend, and I'm really excited about. Be cool to see some people that I've only played with online, like Memo is going to be there, so that's going to be pretty cool. I just toot my own horn. That the Discord league that I play in, I won the month of March, so. Woo!
Nice.
Exclusively on Talion, so the deck is it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So pretty happy with that. And then I will be going to the Cowtown Showdown as well. And then there's a smaller event near me in Fairfax, Virginia. I'll put the link in the description for that. That's about 64-person gold event, so that'll be pretty cool too.
Awesome.
Cool.
Oh, one more to shout out. We have the Snowy Summit coming up in I think July. We'll put a link to that one as well. It's a 5K here in Colorado. It's fully catered. Like they have food and everything for everybody.
Ooh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, stepping it up a notch.
Very cool. All right. Well, I guess with that, let's get into the cards, man. Let's get into the set. Tyler, as the guest of honor, you always get to start. So,
oh boy,
what's the first card here?
So, going from the top of our list, we are on white cards first, and our first card is Aven Interrupter. So this is a 3-mana bird rogue for 1 and 2 white pips with flash and flying, and it enters the battlefield. You exile target spell, and it becomes plotted. So plotted is its owner can cast it as a sorcery on a later turn without paying its mana cost. But spells your opponents cast from graveyards or from exile cost 2 more to cast. So the plotted will still cost 2, even though it would otherwise be free by the rules text of the set. So this one's super interesting.
Yep.
At first blush, it reminds me a lot of Spell Queller, but it's doing something else where it's you're allowed to cast it later for 2. We've seen that kind of effect from white, where it's like exiling a permanent to do that, but not really as a counter spell. And then this has a bunch of other text that is also relevant as a stacks piece for Underworld Breach lines. And also for food chain lines, because it makes cards from graveyards or from exile cost 2 more to cast. So the fact that it interrupts both of those relatively popular win cons is pretty relevant. But a lot of times in white decks, you're not really in the position to hold up 3. Like holding up mana in between turns is not what stacks decks usually do well. So I think this occupies a weird space where it could see some play, but it's not like a slam dunk necessarily.
I think this card is cracked in certain decks, like absolutely cracked. I mean, it fits in this awesome category of, it's not just a stacks piece. It has this generic stacks effect that as white, you're not utilizing your graveyard, you're not utilizing meme bet type lines, you're not doing food chain. So this hits on none of your things. So it's a very, very asymmetrical stacks piece from that position. Actually, is it asymmetrical?
Except for
way?
Rocco. Yeah, it's opponents.
It's okay, but it's asymmetrical either way, so who cares?
Yeah.
But what's really nice about it is I'm looking at decks like Emil and Tyam, and I'm like, oh, you gave them a stacks piece that they're able to generically put down that they can also just, very importantly, this like plot a spell, make it exile, isn't just until this leaves the battlefield or any of that kind of stuff. You can just blink it repeatedly and exile as many spells on the stack as you want if you can. So you've given decks like Emil and Tyam this repeatable counterspell effect, and it's an exile, so it gets around uncounterable and everything the same way Mindbreak Trap does. And so no matter what spell your opponents are doing, it just stops it. It doesn't care what it is, and it's so powerful that it's able to interrupt specific lines, like breach lines, incredibly well, where even if they have a ridiculous amount of mana where they don't care about the 2 more to cast, if they go to Brain Freeze and you are able to hit the initial Brain Freeze with this, that Brain Freeze is now exiled until their next turn. So it just shuts off their breach line and their capabilities with it. So the fact that it's repeatable, the fact that it is an exile-focused counter, and the fact that it still has generic stacks value if you just decide to play it randomly, it's not something you necessarily have to hold up as 3-mana interaction. I think in certain decks, this is like an auto-include. I think it's one of the better cards from the set.
So I think it's really powerful. I think the biggest problem with it is just that it's double white pip, which, double white pip +1, which makes it difficult to play in like a lot of the, higher colored decks, like Blue Farm, for example, gonna have a hard time playing this card. Like, it's just not gonna want to hold up that much mana, every turn to try to hold this up. But for low mana decks, like I keep wanting Orzhov to be viable, Celestia. Like, yeah, I think it's a definite like powerful piece that we'll see a lot of play.
I agree that if you get to blink it does a lot more, but I feel like that's very few decks that are really able to blink it. So Tyam is a really good point. I kind of wasn't thinking of that use case. I think that really could come up a lot, and that's a deck that does kind of thirst for ways to interact. But short of that, like when it's not something that is able to blink it or like repeat the spell exile effect, I think then we're back in the territory of I might play it, not I definitely will play it.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
No, I definitely don't. I don't think high color decks like Blue Farm that have such a card pool are ever going to play something like this.
Definitely not.
It's lower colors, specific strategies, but within those specific strategies, this is like a slam.
Yeah. But there are a lot of low color decks running white that are trying to become more viable. Azorius, for example, like there just aren't a lot of Azorius decks that are doing well, but it's getting closer and closer to being better, right? Because you got this card, you got Trouble in Pairs, there's a lot of these white cards that are coming out that are really, upping the power level for those sort of niche decks. So it's good. I want to see mono white be viable too, and that's, I think, another step in that direction. All right, moving on to the next card. Max, you're up. Tell me about this terrible card that I hate.
I fucking hate this card. I can't believe they printed this garbage. This card is High Noon, 1 and a white. You heard that. 1 and a white, 2 mana, Rule of Law effect. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. The cheapest, most efficient Rule of Law ever printed. That is an actual Rule of Law, not a Deafening Silence or something like that. A true Rule of Law at 2 mana. And the problem with Rule of Laws is sometimes you can't get rid of them. Sometimes they are hindering yourself. What if I told you that this Rule of Law could also sacrifice itself for 4 and a red to deal 5 damage to any target? So this is a Rule of Law you can use to hinder your opponents, get rid of when you're ready to go off, and use the getting rid of it to get rid of something else that's stopping you. This card's cracked.
Yeah.
Thank God it is in red and white. If this was just white color identity, I'd quit Magic. I can't. Like, why would they print this? I don't know.
Yeah. As a Kellen player, I am super excited to see this card because like we've seen less and less Rule of Law effects, but Rule of Law effects are usually pretty good for Kellen, honestly. And here's one that's really appealing to play, and you have to factor this in if you're like trying an Adnaz turn, right? You were talking about like, oh, it probably removes something if you crack it for 5 damage, but this also just says 5 damage to your opponent. You know what I mean? Like there's all sorts of ways that 5 damage can come in handy, and being able to get rid of it, as you said, is like a really big plus.
Yeah, I mean you can go pretty strong winless, stacks with this card too. You could do things like drop an Archon of Emeria and then drop this, and then at any point in time remove both of those to go off. I mean, like, it's really flexible. It can hit anything. It makes those stack strategies much more viable, unfortunately. So I think it's only a matter of time before someone figures out another stack that we have to deal with. So hooray.
I've never seen a card more perfectly positioned for Jetmir. He's coming back.
Yeah, I hate that deck so much. It's not as bad as Tayam or Minota, but it can be really rough. Really rough.
Well, you don't like suppression field, bro? you don't like.
I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, Talion likes rule of law, so I'm fine with this card being played as long as you're not sacking it to kill my Talion to then win the game. Then I have a problem with it. So. All right, next card, moving on. This one's mine. Bovine Intervention. Destroy target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 2/2 white ox creature token. It's an instant. It costs white and 1. So another one of these, well-costed instant speed white removal spells that's flexible. And this one I think is even better than the last one. The last one, I can't remember the name of it right now.
Get Lost,
yeah, which creates a map token, right? This creates a 2/2.
Well, so I'd rather give my opponents maps. Also, the maps can weirdly be used as like a good thing to progress your dockside. What's specifically nice about this one is that it hits artifact or creature, where if you look at decks like Dihada, they're often running something like Soul Partition because they need to get rid of Grafdigger's Cage or specific creatures. This is able to hit artifact creature versus Get Lost, which hits enchantment and creature.
Right.
Yeah, probably much more relevant in general. It also has sweet flavor text. That's...
I didn't read it. No one could prove the ox did it, but no one tried to harness it again either.
Very
awesome.
cute.
Yeah,
awesome. I'm surprised that we have
I think it's
any cards from the
ahead.
set that have enough room for flavor text with the direction we've been heading, but it's refreshing.
Yeah, they're all novels, every single one of them. Yeah. But we do have the cowboy hat in the corner there. There's cowboy hat in every card, pretty much.
Oh, absolutely. There's only been one card printed in the last year that has no abilities.
That's
what card is
Do you
that?
know what card that is? It is Yargulin Multani.
Nice.
It is the only card with no additional text on it in the last 2 years.
Nice. But yeah, solid card. Continuing to strengthen white and low color decks that need good removal. So another good card. So you're up again, Tyler. This is a cool card. I like.
Sure. Yeah. Now we got a mono blue commander potential. This is Geralf the Fleshwright, and he's a 2 and 1 blue 2/3 that says whenever you cast a spell during your turn other than your first spell that turn, you make a 2/2 blue and black zombie rogue creature token. And whenever a zombie enters the battlefield under your control, you put a 1/1 counter on it for each other zombie that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. So it's encouraging you to storm off, basically, on your turn, to manually storm off, and then you will have a big ol' army of zombies, which in mono blue is a little more challenging than when you have access to more colors, but certainly still doable.
Yeah, Rooftop Storm is a blue card.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how to use it, but
I mean,
like there's
in my
got to be
brain
a way.
in this one, I don't have a specific deck in mind for this one, or thinking that it might be the leader, the true commander. But it is kind of an absurd combo piece with a lot of things. You can produce infinite power very, very easily using Gravecrawler loops and such like that. It does a lot of very powerful things. I'm not sure if it has a place, but it's a card that is generically strong enough to potentially have a place.
Yeah, that makes me think of Sidisi.
Oh, sorry.
It makes me think of Sidisi. The zombie Naga. The Sultai one makes me want to run it in there, right? Because that can get out of hand real quick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You'll find, by the way, Tyler, you'll find that some of these cards, Max puts in here, and I don't know why. You'll look at some of them, and you're like, what the hell, Max? You have to kind of explain to me why the hell we're looking at this,
And then I give you a very reasonable niche case for why the card could be cracked.
Yeah, he'll get real excited and he'll start going off and he'll have some convoluted loop or something that he's come up with to make it work, and
So is there a convoluted loop for this one, or is it just dual caster without haste?
Gravecrawler, bro. Gravecrawler. But it is like very surprising when you look at this card. I think this is one of the best examples of just power creep we've had in a long time. If you look at past cards that create zombies, they almost always make them tapped. If you look at any cards that Wizards has been printing recently, that's like when you cast your second spell, you turn all these things. This ability triggers once each turn. You know, I could totally understand the second ability on it, like whenever a zombie enters, that one being unrestricted, that makes sense. Allow yourself to storm off with zombies and make a lot of power. But the first ability not being restricted to once each turn, I think is just a prime example of Wizards saying, fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's just make things strong, baby. Like
it is sweet,
it's
but
kind of insane.
Even with Gravecrawler, I mean, you can get infinite power, but you're still going to have to untap with that, right?
Yeah, or sacrifice them all to like Altar of Dementia and mill everybody out.
Yeah. But you still need Phyrexian Altar to get it going in the first place. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a lot of pieces.
It's a lot of pieces.
It's a lot of pieces.
Yeah,
it's a lot of pieces.
Let's be honest.
It's a cool card, though.
Probably not going to see a lot of CDH play, but you know, who knows?
Oh, the card's cool.
Who knows? Yeah. All right, Max, you got the next one.
This one, dude, I don't know how to feel about this one. This one's Archmage's Newt. It's one in a blue. It's such high upside, right? Which I'll explain in a sec. So it's one in a blue. It's a Salamander mount. Mount is a new mechanic, very similar to Vehicle, except you can only mount as a sorcerer. You can't do it at instant speed like you can with vehicles. They all have a number after them, very similar to the crew ability. And so whenever Archmage's Newt deals combat damage to a player, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. So very similar to a Snapcaster Mage. But if it was saddled, where its saddle is 3, so you have to saddle it with 3 power of creatures, then the flashback card of any instant or sorcery that you choose to target with it becomes 0. So immediately what comes to my head is Enter the Infinite and Peer into the Abyss, where I'm like, oh, this is a way to literally cheat those for 0 mana if you can saddle this thing and get in, which sounds like a lot of work and a lot of setup and has a crazy high you win the game payoff, which if something's going to be a lot of setup, it should have a win the game payoff, and at least this does absolutely have a win the game payoff. It just falls in that category of cards that I am generically known for hating, where it's the high upside, low floor cards that sometimes do nothing, which is not how I like to play Magic. Works for some people. I like consistency.
Yeah, I think it's not going to see play. It's just too hard to set it up. It's got to do damage. It has no evasion whatsoever. I just don't see it connecting very often and being worth the cost of trying to get it set up. I just don't see it. It seems like a cool card for like standard though, right? Is this a standard set even?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Okay. Good. Yeah. Then I could see it. I could see it seeing some play in standard, and I like the art. It's neat. Cool.
Exactly. Though without evasion, it's a real bummer, and it's not like your opponents can't see what's in your graveyard. So if you offer them a trade for their 2/2 creature that they might not accept when it's a Tymna, and you're just drawing a card, they're just going to be able to evaluate your graveyard and make the right decision every time. So I think the lack of evasion really kills it in terms of CD's potential for me.
Yeah. I agree.
I'd agree.
Next card, though, I think has more, like, and not just this card, but this type of card has a lot more CDH potential than I think people realize. And this is 3 steps ahead. It costs 1 blue instant. Then it has Spree, which basically means you can add these other effects for the cost associated. So the first one is counter target spell for blue and 1. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature you control for 3 more, and you can draw 2 cards, then discard a card for 2. And I know that 3 mana counter spells are terrible, right? Like nobody wants to play 3 mana counter spells. But what this card has going for it is really nice on the Naws, right? So all of these cards that have the Spree have lower CMCs off a Naws flip. So it means that you get to play some effects in a Naws deck that you might otherwise shy away from because you're afraid of taking too big a hit. It also offers huge amounts of flexibility that it might be worth paying the extra, CMC for. Like, maybe I do want to, draw cards and counter a spell. That costs 5 mana, but it might be worth sinking that extra mana into that. So it becomes much more playable than I think people realize. I don't know that this one in particular is going to see a lot of play, just because there's just so many good counter spells in the format right now. I just can't see it. But this type of card I like a lot. I think it's going to see some action. What do you guys think?
I like the concept. I like the flexibility. I think this is actually one of the best ones that I've heard a lot of people talking about. Obviously, having a counter stapled onto anything is always an enormous upside in CDH. My problem with it is people often look at it and they say, oh, you can pay a little bit more for flexibility. And I agree with that to an extent, for sure. Mana efficiency is still very, very important. When I look at the cards that have really broken the mold on mana efficiency to flexibility, and they're good enough to run them anyway, the only thing that's really hit that mark for me is channel effects. You look at stuff like Colossal Sky Turtle, you look at stuff like Touch the Spirit Realm, all of these effects are overcosted for what you are generically trying to do and what you could be doing with a card that's specified to do that. But because that effect is just naturally uncounterable to a certain extent, it kind of breaks the mold on what's okay. Versus these cards, even if I choose to pump 7-8 mana, whatever it is, to do the whole effect into this, I can still get got by a mental misstep. And that's concerning to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because it doesn't change the CMC at all, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that requires that your opponents have mental misstep, but still, I think that's true. To me, the big thing that makes this just not a consideration in CEDH is that the mode that's created a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature is you control, not any artifact or creature. If we were looking at a 4-mana instant speed created token that's a copy of any target artifact or creature, then I think we would definitely be talking about playing this, and then it would feel like the counterspell part was just upside. As it is, like, modal spells are just very good because they do so many different things. Like, Archdruid's Charm has been great. I'm, really excited that we got access to that, and I've been playing that in a couple decks, and I love it basically every time. There's always a mode that's relevant for the situation at hand. And an unconditional counter like this is always, a relevant mode. It's just that the other two modes aren't good enough, really. Like, if they were, then I would have a cancel that can also do these other things I would be really excited about. But they're just not quite good enough for the cost.
Yeah, I agree. Although I think there are some others that we'll get to that are a little bit better. Moving on to the next one, Tyler, you're up, man.
Oh, I am so excited I get this one. I love OG Tinybones, and I had that as a casual deck together for a long time after failing to make it work as a competitive deck. But this one is Tinybones the Pickpocket. Since it's 1 mana, just 1 black mana, I will henceforth refer to this as Teensy Bones, since it is smaller. This is a skeleton rogue with Death Touch, a 1/1, and it says whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target non-land permanent card from that player's graveyard, and you may spend mana as though it was mana of any type to cast that spell. So this is really appealing if you can get a ton of mill going, or if your opponents are naturally filling their graveyards themselves. Also works well with discard, obviously. It's super aggressively costed with a potentially very good ability. This is definitely a case of a high ceiling and a low floor, though, because sometimes it's just a 1/1 with Death Touch, and that's not great.
Yeah, I'm excited about this card to give it a try in Florian, because one of the things it does is getting access to my opponent's graveyards and some of the cards in there that make up for Rakdos' inherent weaknesses. I can do things like maybe get a Ranger Captain if there's a Ranger Captain in there, that kind of thing. That lets me make up for weaknesses and get around color limitations that I would otherwise have, and it's a great attacker. It's going to get through a lot. So it's got Death Touch. I mean, you're going to find someone to attack with it. I think most of the time, they don't want to give up something that they have.
I do think it depends.
I play Forbidden Orchard in every deck.
Right. So here's the thing with it. The same way the Newt that we were talking about, Archmage's Newt. Whatever it is. The same way that one gives your opponents the chance to evaluate the graveyards and whether it's worth it to block. Tinybones is in the same boat, right? They know what's in their graveyard and what you're likely to play. So if it's worth throwing their mana dork in front of it so that you can't play a mana crypt out of their graveyard, they're just gonna do that. So I think getting through isn't necessarily like a gimme just because it has Death Touch. You know what I mean? You're only gonna see that if you're against really important stacks pieces or commanders that people just cannot let go of, even if it's going to let you get pretty far ahead.
I'm also excited to see this work with Delny.
Ooh, that's sweet.
It's going to get through with Delny, and it's going to get double triggers, and that's going to be pretty hot.
Ooh.
You do have to pay the cost for the spell, though, right? Not for free.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But you can use mana of any type.
Yeah.
It should be pretty easy.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's just the telegraphedness of it is the only.
But I think the thing is, you don't.
If it was like if it made your opponent mill 2 cards, even like something like that, I'd be super excited.
But the trick is
the fact that it's entirely telegraphed.
Yeah, but the trick is like you don't play it and try to go for the Hail Mary, right? You're not trying to look for the haymaker every time. You're looking for value. You're looking for, little pieces that push you ahead. That's like they're not so backbreaking that your opponent wants to give up something that they want to keep on the battlefield for. Like, oh, I'm going to take your Lotus Petal, or I'm going to take your the biggest ones. I think people will stop is like fish. There's going to be a lot of fishes in graveyards, and people are going to block to protect that fish. But mana rocks, dorks, that kind of thing, you're going to get access to that. Even, I'm trying to think of other stuff. Just value creatures. You'll be able to get them, I think. Yeah, which is pretty neat.
I mean, also like there's going to be a lot of times that, let's say you're against Tivit, right? And they have a fish in their graveyard. Their only creature right now is Tivit. They're probably not blocking.
No, probably not. Probably not. But and again, the Florian game plan is I want to sort of snowball with good attackers. So there's going to be a lot of situations where I attack and someone's not going to bother blocking, and I put like a seemingly innocuous creature on the battlefield, and now I'm getting bigger Florian triggers and even bigger Florian triggers on top of that, and just snowballs. So I like the card a lot, specifically for Florian, and also in decks that run Delny. I think we'll see it.
Yeah, I think those are the only 2 options 99-wise, and in case this needs to be said, it's in Series Light, it's definitely not viable as a commander. I think in Casual, maybe. But, unless you can also put Mesmeric Orb in the command zone.
Yeah, agreed. All right, next one. Max, you're up, dude.
Oh, baby. This one, I'm another card I'm very torn on that I've heard a lot of people say good and bad about. This is Insatiable Avarice. It is 1 black, 1 mana spell, has Spree, as most of the Spree cards are. Its first mode is plus 2 colorless mana. Search your library for a card, then shuffle and put that card on top. It is an Imperial Seal effect, sorcery speed for 3 mana, 2 black. But then additionally, you could add another 2 black to that, and target player draws 3 cards and loses 3 life. What's also very important about Spree cards is the effects happen in order. So the first effect would be the search, and the second effect would be the draw. So if you pump 5 mana into this, 2 and 3 black, you essentially get to tutor a card into your hand and draw 2 random cards.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Which is powerful.
It's powerful, but it's expensive. I think
it's too expensive.
Yeah, in the Beseech the Mirror world, where we saw a lot of excitement around that card, and then some decks ended up not running it because 4 mana and sack an artifact or whatever still felt like kind of too much, even if you get to cast the thing for free. I think this kind of occupies the same space, where as a 3 mana tutor, it's worse than Grim Tutor. As a 3 mana draw 3, it's worse than the best draw rates for sure. And having both makes it more appealing, but I think probably still not appealing enough.
Yeah,
I think it probably sees playing Crick. I think this could be a Crick card
for triple black. Yeah, in Crick, I definitely I think you're right.
Triple black, it's reasonable. I also do you think this is generically worse than Grim Tutor? I've heard different thoughts on
I do.
That
I think it's generically
obviously
worse.
The fact that it's to the top is a thing. But the fact that it's 1 less colored pip to get access to the card, but also has the upside of I guess I'd probably play Grim Tutor first. It's just a little more more direct.
Basically, it's 5 mana, lose 3 life. Tutor a card, draw 2 extra cards, which is that's kind of like the ceiling for it. And then the floor is sorcery speed, bad Imperial Seal for more mana. It's just not.
You're right.
It's a little rough, and I don't think we need it either. I think there's enough tutors right now that you don't need this bad tutor before other bad tutors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I meant with Beseech the Mirror. I feel like the fact that that's not getting run consistently means that there's not room for this.
Yeah, I would go.
I don't know why they're not running it consistently. Beseech is correct,
but
I love Beseech.
But in my mind, the other black tutors, basically goes Beseech the Mirror, then Grim Tutor. I don't even know if this is next. I guess maybe, this would be next.
It's up there. It's close.
Yeah.
But no, it is pretty. Me and Max have had a lot of back and forth about Beseech the Mirror because he keeps wanting to take it out Italian, and then I run him through the incredible list of important things we get with it, and he's like, okay.
The problem is I keep going, I'm going to take this card out. All right, I'll play one more game, and then I win with it, and I'm like, oh, fine. Yep. It works. All right, moving on to one of my favorite cards in the new set, actually. And another card, Florian's getting lots of treats in this one. This is Kaervek the Punisher. Black, and 1. Legendary creature, human warlock. It's a 3/3. Whenever you commit a crime, exile up to 1 target black card from your graveyard and copy it. You may cast the copy. If you do, you lose 2 life. Okay, so just if you're not up with it yet, basically what a crime is anytime you target anything from your opponent. So that can be countering a target spell. That could be targeting a land for destruction, killing a creature, whatever. Anything that says target and the target is your opponent's thing is a crime, right? So.
Or a card in their graveyard.
Right. Any of their stuff. Almost anywhere. You get to do this. So in my mind, like the ceiling for this is I swing with I cast a Demonic Tutor. I go get myself a braid to remove a stacks piece. I cast the braid, destroy the stacks piece, and then I get to recast the Demonic Tutor from the graveyard to get the piece I need to win on top of it.
I mean, yeah, we just talked about how good a 5-mana tutor is. A 6-mana tutor sounds even better.
Right, but this is a 6-mana tutor where the upside is you destroy whatever the most relevant thing is on the board instead of draw 2 random cards and lose 3 life.
Yeah, and you get to keep swinging. You get it doesn't die. It's not like it's a sorcery that is gone. Right, you get to do this as many times as you want. Like as many times as you have mana for it, you can just keep doing it. Right. As long as you have the cards.
It's also
in your
funny
graveyard.
that when you look at CDH where people play Ranger Captain, some people have been playing Brazier as a Nightmare lately. Like a 3/3 for 3 is practically indestructible. No one can fucking kill that shit in combat. It's so big.
It's so good. It's so good. It's actually become a problem with Florian that there's just too many good 3-drops right now because there's Braids, there's another card we'll talk about in a little bit. Like there's just a lot of really good 3-drops, and like I don't want to be just 3-drop tribal. And then you run into those awkward mana situations, but it's too good to ignore. I mean, this card's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this potentially goes in low color black decks for sure. I think there's also maybe a case to run it in Diada since you are filling up your graveyard, and it's likely going to give you the chance to reuse a tutor that you might have access to because your job is filling up your graveyard. But I think it's kind of hard to find slots forward in most black decks, just because you have to consistently be playing a really high density of black cards.
Right track, wrong Mardu deck.
Okay.
So Dihada, no, because Dihada doesn't actually play that much removal. Dihada is so all gas, no breaks. You did just give me the idea, though, this is probably gas as fuck in Tim Najeska.
Yes.
Because Tim Najeska plays like 20 pieces of removal.
Yeah.
They play so much. I mean, Jeska by itself is a crime. Yep. You can easily make a crime. But like they're on fucking Lightning Axe. They're so deep on random bullshit. Like that deck is so interactive.
Yeah.
So that I could see it in Tim Najeska for sure.
Yeah, and you could do things like entomb something and then cast a crime and then you get the entomb. Like it works. So like it's actually really, really sweet. I think we're gonna find that in practice it's even better than we think. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right.
It's hard to evaluate, but very cool.
Yeah. All right, back to you, Tyler. We're on Tinybones again.
Sweet. Yep, so this is Tinybones Joins Up for 1 black. It's a legendary enchantment. And when it enters the battlefield, any number of target players each discard a card. And whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, any number of target players each mill a card and lose 1 life. So this is obviously kind of designed to just work really well with the Tinybones card from this set. But this is new templating, which I think is interesting. I can't think of another card that says any number of target players each discards a card. So giving you the option to include yourself or not is kind of unusual, but it's kind of nice. Definitely just a strict upside over, each player discards a card. So that's exciting to see. I think the rest of the text is not super relevant. Incidental mill when a legendary creature enters just isn't going to come up that often. So, I think best case scenario, this is, not best case scenario, but the median scenario. Most of the time, this is just 1 black mana, each of your opponents discards a card, and occasionally it will have some slight upside.
Yeah, I know it has some relevancy in certain infinite loops where you can use the second ability for like infinite drain. That's one aspect of it. One thing I just have to bring up is that the art prompt they gave this person was draw a skeleton with a cowboy hat on it. That's hilarious. But then what I did want to bring it up for was just another example of power creep. I did a Scryfall search when I saw this card, where for each opponent discards a card just to like see what would show up. This is the only 1 mana cost version of that effect. So this is the most efficient each player discards a card effect that has ever existed.
Well, there's another one. There was another one
notable.
recently that came out in Wilds of Eldraine that does the same thing. And
really?
Yeah, and I'll find it here. Give me just a second. I'll find it. Hopeless Nightmare. So Hopeless Nightmare is 1 black enchantment. When Hopeless Nightmare enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life. And then it says, when Hopeless Nightmare is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, scry 2. Then you can pay black and 2 to sacrifice it. I think that's like equally powered, I think, to this.
Yeah, pretty similar.
Yeah.
And that's seen no play. So,
No
I
one's
mean,
playing it,
yeah, you're right then. They are just power creeping that effect. The target player thing is cool because you can make yourself discard if you're a Razaketh deck or a Citadel deck or any of those types of things. It's kind of nice to have that option as another outlet. So I don't think you would ever play this, though, unless you're utilizing the second ability in some infinite loop as well.
Yeah, my first thought when I saw it is the same thought I had with Hopeless Nightmare, which is this is for Abdel animate dead loops. That's what this really works with, right? Because you just Abdel blinks infinite times and everyone dies. That's pretty much it. But usually you don't play those effects in an Abdel animate deck because
Bowmaster.
Bowmaster does the thing better, and Abdel can just win if you do it on an end step with necromancy and create infinite 1/1s and kill everyone that way. So you just don't need this card, and it's just kind of low card quality otherwise. So
Yep.
Yeah, but also synergistically enabling your own strategies, like Voldaren Epicure fills that role very, very well, giving you the blood token as well as the direct damage, where it lets you discard the Abdel and it lets you be the Abdel blink target to do infinite damage.
Yes. Yeah. I guess it's cool in the sense that like you have it resolve and then you pick the number of targets. So like you can sneaky, discard a Bolus of Citadel when you have a Welder in play, for example. That kind of play, you can do that kind of thing, but I don't think we'll see it very much. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
You're up again, Max.
Okay, this one is Lively Dirge. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's 1 and a black, 2 mana sorcery with Spree, not a 1-drop this time. First one +1 is Entomb. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So 3 mana sorcery, speed, Entomb. And then the second option is +2 colorless mana. Return up to 2 creature cards with total mana value 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That is the mode that interests me because 4 mana reanimated Dockside and a Grand Abolisher is kind of hot.
Yeah, that's definitely a high ceiling.
Yeah.
That's kind of magical fairy Christmas land, though, I think. I think most of the time, especially because it's sorcery speed. If this was an instant, it would be almost playable. As a sorcerer, I can't. Like 3 mana Entomb and sorcery speed is just rough, dude. Rough. And
so I don't think you want to think of it as 3 mana Entomb. I think you want to think of it as 5 mana. Put Dockside and another creature on the battlefield.
Sure.
From your graveyard.
Yeah, sure. That's fair, but still, it's pretty rough. Like there's what's that 5 mana card that lets you look for two
Bribery.
No, not even that one. That's the blue one. But the black one where you go look for 2 cards, you put one in your graveyard, one in your hand, right?
Final Party.
Yeah.
Final Party, right? And that card I think is a little bit better than this, and it's not seeing play either.
Well, so Final Parting is seeing play in like Francisco decks for
I
Cauldron
think
Ballista.
Keurig is still on Final
'cause
Party.
it lets
too.
you set up. Yeah, Keurig is as well, but that's a deck that wants cards in hand and in the graveyard very specifically.
Yeah.
This is one that just lets you. I mean, the natural discourse of CDH, throughout your game, you're going to have some things go to the graveyard. So in my brain, it is you are tutoring for the Dockside is the primary target, where it lets you entomb it and reanimate it in the singular spell. So you're getting a Dockside, and then you get a secondary value creature with it, and that's dependent on the situation of the game. And if you already have your Dockside in the graveyard, then you're able to get whatever other creature you want. So you can say, cool, I'll tutor for the Grand Abolisher. And they don't know what creatures you're putting in until this resolves. It's not resolving in 2 forms, so they don't know what creature you're going to be tutoring for. So if you just say, like, oh yeah, I'm getting my Dockside back, and I'm going to see what else I got. And they say, okay, it resolves. I go, great. I'm going to put this Grand Abolisher in my graveyard, and I would like to put both of them on the battlefield.
Yeah. Actually, it's better the more I think about it. The other nice thing about it is it's going to naturally find its place in decks that run Adnos, and it's only 2 mana off an Adnos, so that's great versus the 5 mana Final Parting, which is probably the reason why Final Parting doesn't see play in a lot of Adnos decks. This actually is better than I thought originally. I actually like it. I think this will see some play.
And just to be clear as well, the first Entomb ability of it does not have to get a creature. It can get any card.
Right.
So like you said, you could already have a Dockside in the graveyard and say, okay, I'm going to do the reanimation ability to get the mana, but I'm also going to Entomb my LED or something, or Entomb my Brain Freeze.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Definitely shines best in decks that are also running Breach Lines.
Yep.
for sure.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think to your point, Max, the most appealing part of it is that you don't name the target until resolution. So it makes it very much like an Eldritch Evolution or a Birthing Pod line where, people may think they know what you're going to get, but if the contents of your hand allow you to go about your win line in a surprising way, it's probably a lot easier to convert this into a win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. I like it. I like it a lot more than I thought I did. So it's actually
we got him, boys.
It's actually good. It's
we
a good card.
did it.
It's a good card. A damn good card. All right. All right. Moving on to the next one, which is not a good card, is the Great Train Heist. And it's another one of these modal cards. It's a 1 red instant.
Okay.
I'm going to read it and and you got to explain to me what the fuck
I
you're
know,
thinking.
but before you read any of these, just the next 3 cards, all the ones we're going to talk about, when you're looking at them, I just want you to consider Magda.
Yeah,
that's all
that's
I
fair.
Yep.
That's fair. Yeah, the last mode of this one is the only one that I really like. I mean, I guess the first one has something. So the first mode is So the first spree mode is untap all creatures you control. If it's your combat phase, there's an additional combat phase after this one. So that costs red and 2. Sure, maybe I don't know. Maybe the next one is +2 creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain first strike until end of turn. That one's more interesting than you think, and I'll explain why in a second. And then the last one is plus red. Choose target opponent. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to that player this turn, create a tap treasure token. Actually, it gives all creatures you control, so it's not even that good. But so basically, like, it's a treasure generator, right? So if you can attack a player with like a double strike creature or a first strike plus a regular strike creature, then you could. It's sort of ceiling is that turns into 2 treasures, which, like you said, can feed Magda. And then getting an extra combat is neat because then you get a second attack and still this turn, so you still get additional treasures that way. So, I see it. It's just super expensive and clunky, and I can only see this in Magda. I can't see it in anything else, even Florian.
Yeah. It's the reason it's on the list. It's just Magda.
Yeah.
It's a viable CDH deck.
Yeah, I mean, it's only Magda. That's for sure. But
yeah, it's just Magda, dude. Magda's good.
yeah, whether this is mana efficient enough for Magda, I think is a little tricky because a lot of times that deck is operating on relatively thin margins of non-treasure mana, and so if you're spending treasures just to make more treasures, then that's not really where you want to be probably. So I think you for the first part of the effect to feel good, and I guess the last part, you would already need to have like a bunch of dwarves, and in which case you probably already have a way to make a bunch of treasures. So
No. Think of the math on this. You turn 1, play, let's say you have this could be a crazy turn 1, right? It could be vehicle 1-drop dwarf Magda with like a jeweled lotus, and like that's great. That makes 2 treasures. That sounds awesome. Turn 2, untap, cast this, swing both at an opponent. You now have 6 treasures.
Are you trying to convince me with the magical Christmas land scenario? Because that's what it sounds.
No. So that's sealing. That's sealing turn 2. No. Hear me out though. So that's sealing turn 2, 6 treasures, right? But imagine that math the way it breaks down for any regular Magda draw, where you say, okay, turn 1 I play a 1-drop dwarf. Turn 2 I play Magda. I swung in with my 1-drop dwarf. I made 1 treasure on turn 2. On turn 2 now, I can say, cool, there's you as an open player. Or on turn 3 now, I say you're an open player. I cast this for 2 mana. And it essentially doubles the treasure production because Magda and the dwarf attacking each create a treasure on attack, and then each of them hitting now makes also a treasure. So that immediately bumps you from 1 to 5 treasures from turn 2 to turn 3, and that's a normal Magda draw.
Yeah.
So it gets you efficient, good draw 6 mana, 6 treasure turn 2, or very average draw 5 mana, 5 treasure turn 3.
Yeah,
the
assuming
flexibility
people
might
don't
be
realize it's Well, but people are going to realize what's happening, and they're going to interact. And that's the biggest problem. Is it's not like sneaky like the other one where you don't know exactly what's happening. Right? You see exactly what's happening here. We've got Magda coming at me. We've got extra treasures being created. Requires an answer right now. And presumably people will interact. And if they can't interact, then sure, then you run away with one. But it's I don't know. And to get all the modes is freaking 7 mana. Like, it's just not.
Yeah, but you're only using the last mode. Occasionally, you might use the first mode with the last mode if you just have enough attackers. Like, that would make some sense. But really, you're playing it for the 2-mana mode of make treasures. Which, again, like, if you're on a deck like Magda, you're not going to not play a card that does what you need it to do because of the fear of being interacted with. You got to
No, sure, but you got to decide, like, okay, what's the, like, I play this card, and if it doesn't work, then it does nothing else, really. Like, provides no value.
Yeah. I got to say, I think I was reading this as a sorcery at first. As an instant, this is better than I thought. If you already have the unblocked attackers and then you can cast this, that is a lot better. That is surprise acceleration in Magda. So I may be coming around
you're
on this
right.
a little bit.
Right, because you wait till after unblocked, then you do it. Yeah.
Have you changed your mind now?
I'm thinking. I have a new reference point. Let me think. Like, whenever a creature you control does combat, so if it's interesting. Yeah, it's better than I thought, but still, I don't think it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I still think Magda is a telegraphed one-trick pony whose best days are behind her, but good thing 100%. It got better.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, though.
Some people
do it after blocks.
Deck still dunks on people.
Yeah, no, it still can win. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You got me. It's another good card.
We got that. All right. Next Magda card, Tyler.
So this is just removal for Magda. Hell to pay is X and 1 red, and it deals X damage to target creature. Then you create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to the amount of excess damage dealt to that creature this way. So you remove something and make a bunch of treasure tokens. I think most of the time this is going to remove a 1-drop and then have you pay 2 mana to convert any number of other mana into tapped treasure tokens, which is pretty good. I mean, if it gets you over the line to 5 treasures, like, that's what you really want. Usually there's something with 1 toughness, so this can ramp you treasures really quickly, but sometimes it won't. The floor is pretty low for sure.
Yeah, this is one where if it was an instant, I'm way more interested. Yeah. As a sorcery, broken. It's significantly worse. Yeah.
Or if the treasures came in untapped, it would be even better, right? I mean, Magda doesn't care.
In the Magda headspace.
Yeah, so Magda doesn't care, but like, it's still like if the treasures came in untapped, then other decks might even think about it. But sorcery speed, tap treasures, only Magda, and even then, it's kind of a reach. I think. I don't know.
Lastly, the last Magda card, conveniently called Magda the Hoardmaster. 1 and a red, same cost as OG Magda. 2/2 legendary creature, Dwarf Berserker. Whenever you commit a crime, create a tapped treasure token. This ability triggers only once each turn. We'll talk about that in a second. Second ability, sacrifice 3 treasures, create a 4/4 dragon. Irrelevant in TDH, you're not using that ability like ever unless you need to get rid of something or do damage or something like that. But generically, you're doing this for the commit a crime, make a tap treasure mode because Magda has a stupid amount of ways to commit crimes. Like, someone was talking me through, they've got like over 20 ways in just the normal average Magda deck list to commit crimes, between targeted stuff, between repeatable stuff, like they play cards like Unlicensed Hearse, which exile from graveyards, that counts as committing a crime. So it's very easy for Magda to play this Magda in the 99, get it on the battlefield, and just make an extra couple or 3 or 4 treasures every single turn cycle from it. Very, very easily.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, the best Magda card for Magda was, in fact, Magda.
Hilarious. Love it. All right. Next card. Am I up? Who's up? I'm up. Yeah, I'm up.
Yeah, you're up.
Yeah, good timing because this is another Florian potential card. This is Return the Favor. It's 2 red. Instant. It's got the spree effect again. If you add 1, it can copy target instant spell, sorcery spell, activated ability, or triggered ability, and you may choose new targets for the copy. That's already good. And then +1, change the target of a target spell or ability with a single target. This card is good. It's real fucking good. The cool thing about it is, number 1, like I said, no ad nause hit. Doesn't hit for 3, hits for 2, which seems like not a lot, but it is a lot. One of the things I've always wanted to run in Florian is Bolt Bend, but costing 4 mana and needing a 4 power creature to get the benefit, it just makes it a non-starter. This does that. It does all those things, and it does it even better than that. Say what?
It's 3 mana Bolt Man.
It's 3 mana Bolt Man, but it can turn into 4 mana. So I can go and copy a bolt, like a lightning bolt, and then change the target of the original bolt, and I get both of them for 4. Like, that's pretty hot.
Why not just copy a Nas, bro?
Yeah, or I, someone's casting a Thassa's Oracle and I have Tainted Back in hand. These are all things that you can do.
No, it's only copy target. You can copy the ETB of Thassa's.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. This card is great. It's great. And people will complain
Tyler,
about that.
This is the CW you've been looking for.
Yeah.
People will complain that 3 mana is too much or 4 mana is too much. Nah, dude, it's not too much. It's only too much because
it is
of Adna. Like, I get explosive mana. That's not a problem. It's really not a problem. And this can protect a win. Like, this is a great card. I'm going to definitely be trying it. Maybe I'm wrong. It turns out that like that 1 extra mana just kills everything, but I just don't think so. I think it's really good.
I think it's very flexible. I'm probably still only expecting to see it in non-blue decks, but in those, I think it's got a home probably in a lot of them, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, we almost play Fork.
Booty hole.
We almost play Fork. Some decks do play Fork. This is better.
I said I think this card is booty hole. This is trash.
Really. Why?
Yeah, you just said you almost play Fork.
This is better than
Why would
Fork.
I want a more? I know it's better, but it's more expensive.
No, dude, this is good shit. This is great. Like one of the biggest problems I have with Florian is you end up in these situations where, like, I have a Bolus of Citadel in play and I'm going off, and some cheeky bastard is holding a Boseiju in their hand and waiting till I can't do anything to blow up my my Citadel, and I have nothing other than Deflecting Swat to deal with it. This gives me a second thing to deal with it.
It deals with it. Yeah, one of those is free.
Well, but this is free off of a Citadel.
No, it isn't. You have to pay the additional cost for it to do it.
Sure, I have to pay 1. Yeah.
Okay, free off a Citadel is a little bit of Christmas land, I gotta say. But
so is my Razaketh. What do you?
No, but I'm telling you, it'll work. Because even like same thing with the breach line, having it sitting there in the graveyard means that people can't sneak up and blow up my my Underworld breach with like an Otawar or Boseiju. Like it's.
I hope
great
you
insurance.
play this in Florian when I'm playing Talion, and you try and get me with this, and you fully full spree it, and I just hit you with a spell snare, and you get real sad.
Oh, I would get sad.
That's what I
would
want
wreck
to
my
happen.
world. That would wreck my world. I'd be very sad.
Oh, the malice! My God,
you would do that shit to me too, wouldn't you? You would 100% do that to me. All right.
Oh yeah. All right. Even if it wasn't correct to do, I would do that for the memes.
just to say, so we can talk about it on here, and you can like, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on. Tyler, you're up again, man.
Yeah. The next one we are moving into green cards, and we've got yet another spree card. This is Smuggler Suprise, which is an instant for 1 green is the mana value, and then for an additional 2, you mill 4 cards, and you may put up to 2 creature and or land cards from among them into your hand. For another 5, 4 and a green, you may put up to 2 creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. And for another 1, creatures you control with power 4 or greater gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So this is a weird one. There's a lot going on this card. I think the first thing and maybe the most direct comparison is that it can just be a 2 mana heroic intervention for your big creatures. This is kind of an effect that hasn't really seen a similar printing, but it is only creatures with power 4 or greater, so like in CDH especially, that is not going to hit very much. The 3 mana mode of putting 2 creature or land cards into your hand is like decent if you have really, really high density, but that's still not the best rate. And it is extremely expensive to put 2 creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield, but you can. I mean, if you get away with it, that is potentially a really high ceiling, but certainly a really low floor too.
Yeah,
I think it's more of a 60 card.
Yeah,
like 60 card cheat in Atraxa Natali sounds kind of nice.
Yeah,
because that's something that just wins there. The best case I've heard for this card is Kinnan, and I'm not putting this in Kinnan.
Yeah, I'm not even.
Like,
trying
we have the right creatures for it, the right density. Like, we're a deck that it would make a level of sense in. It protects our big things. It lets us cheat them into play. But I don't know. Our deck already does that.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need more of those things.
Yeah,
So
often
which
it will
is
come up that people are, like seeing if you want to. I think this happened with some. I think it was a dinosaur from Ixalan that when it enters, you can put any number of creatures from your hand onto the battlefield. And I was asked a lot if I was going to try that. Yeah, and I was like, absolutely not. Like if instead I'm just running, another mana source that is going to enable me to just cast these creatures honestly. Like I'd rather do that than have cutesy cards that completely rely on me actively losing the game by having my hand full of big chonkers that I can't cast. Like it's not where I want to be.
My description for Galta was if I'm in a position that getting Galta on the battlefield would be good, I already have a lot of cards in hand and I'm already winning the game. I don't need Galta.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of sad that this is the only green card, which means poor green got ignored again. So white gets all the love and green gets ignored. Set after
worse
set
and worse.
after set.
Yep.
Honestly, fucking annoying, dude.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing.
I'm a green. I like green.
I don't even like
too.
green, and I feel bad for green. It's insane. Insane.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why do you think I've been playing Talion so much lately? Jesus.
Yeah. Because it's better.
Okay, well, watch it.
All right.
You're gonna be outvoted by Kinnan support right
That's
now.
true.
We got.
It's okay. I'm used to 1v3ing. Let's go. All right.
We need to we do need to get like Pingmeister on here at some point.
Oh yeah, we should.
We've had Ian, we've had Hire, now we've had Tyler. We got to get the whole Mount Rushmore of Kinnan on fucking on the show.
Yeah. So speaking of green cards, that why do we have this on here, Max? Why is Kellen the Kid on here?
Oh, Kellen the Kid, bro?
Yeah.
You don't know about Kellen? Well, he's a 3/3 for 3 flying lifelink. That's pretty cool. He's got good flavor text, but also whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, you may cast a permanent spell with equal or lesser mana value from your hand without paying its mana cost. If you don't, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. I'm not sure what it does. It just seemed like really fucking good value.
Yeah, but it's banned.
Like if
it's banned.
Yeah. It's in the wrong colors for everything it wants to be doing. But if you figure out a way to do it, it seems pretty sick. That's the best I got.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess food chain you're casting from other places, right? So, but there's no.
There you go.
You're just going to cast Mist Holograph.
Yeah, but if you're already doing the food chain thing, I don't think you need this. I mean, the best use case for it is in the 99 of Obnix, and it precisely cannot do that. Like,
yeah. Can we foretell a bunch of cards? We're gonna play foretell now.
right?
Foretell tribal.
That works.
Like CDH.
That works. Yeah, I mean, Azorius was the best foretell colors. Like that, those are the main foretell colors.
Yeah, but there's a reason why nobody plays any of those cards. I mean, the best foretell card is red.
Delayed blast fireball. Yeah,
exactly.
Wasn't even in the OG Keldheim set. It was a fucking Baldur's Gate card.
Rough. You know, the sad thing is when I saw this card spoiled, I read from the bottom to the top, and I started reading the card. I'm like, holy shit, this is broken. And then I got to the top, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
banned.
I mean,
Well-
what else could you do? There's a lot of, are there some rebound spells? Like, I guess Ephemerate works with it.
Sure.
Not sure what else, though. Yeah, I mean, it is just the wrong colors for not from hand spellcasting. Doesn't give you access to Breach, doesn't give you access to Yogs, doesn't give you access to Exile stuff.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah, maybe it's probably a cool 60 card. I know that this is one. Was it not? No, it was a different one that you can like cheat into play a Valky.
No, we do Sensei's Divining Top plus Reality Chip plus the cost reducer, and then it works.
You found the line.
Yeah, you just build a different combo and then it looks good.
Yeah. Piece of cake.
Look how good my Kellen deck is.
Yeah, rough, dude.
Bummer.
Rough. And then I got the next one, which is Rakdos the Muscle. So it's 5 mana, 2 black, red, demon mercenary, flying trample, as all demons seem to be. Whenever you sacrifice another creature, exile cards equal to its mana value from the top of target player's library. Until your next end step, you may play those cards, and mana of any type can be spent to cast those spells. Sacrifice another creature, Rakdos the Muscle, gains indestructible to end of turn. Tap it, activate it only once each turn. So this card's kind of good, and the fact that it's a sack outlet in the command zone, and you get benefit from the sacrifices. You get to play other people's library. The problem is, in my mind, it needs like green to run like Hulk combos, or it needs white to do. I mean, I don't even know what it needs white for, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you make this really work in Rakdos.
You can. There's a few. I view this card very similar to Marnius, which I'll kind of explain in a second. A really interesting footnote, though. My buddy played against this. A guy immediately threw to get together, and he immediately came at me. A little bit of an overreaction, in my opinion. He was like, "This is better than Ob," and I was like, "Okay, calm, relax, my guy." So the reason I say it's like Marnius is because I think Marnius is the perfect example of a card that does nothing on its own.
Mm-hmm.
It is incredibly high upside. The payoff it provides you is generically better than the other things that those colors commanders can give you. Like, Marnius on the battlefield is better than Tibet when it is being enabled. Marnius on the battlefield is often better than Malcolm Tibna when it is on the battlefield. Like, it is a very high payoff when you get the engines churning, but it does nothing on its own, and that's what's always going to keep it a little bit lower in viability. And I think Rakdos is very similar, where by himself, he does nothing. But what he does get is the fact that he's Rakdos. Probably the best proactive color combination at just winning the fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
And what this does a lot of dumb shit with is stuff like Fury, Grief, Phyrexian Dreadnought. Suddenly you're just getting enormous stacks of cards that you have access to that you can play right away in your proactive win the game shell.
But then you have to play those bad cards. Like, you know what I thought of initially is what this would be really good with is Hoarding Broodlord. With Sacrifice and Burnt Offering and Saw in Half, right? Because you're gonna you get massive value from that off the top of someone's library.
Yeah, but you already win,
right?
Yeah, but you don't.
Yeah, exactly. You do. You already win.
Yourself.
Yeah, at that point you've already won. Exactly.
You already win. You've already won if you're broodlording. But like, if I'm just like, okay, I get to spend 1 mana and play a Phyrexian Dreadnought, I get access to 12 cards. Like, that's kind of hot.
Yeah, but then you have to play Phyrexian Dreadnought. That's terrible.
For sure. Again, that's I think what is going to leave this deck out of pure viability at a top tier level of actually being something as good as Ob. But I think from a perspective of it is a high end, high ceiling enabler for some really busted plays. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's also funny that we have like yet another card that just really wishes that Phyrexian Altar Gravecrawler was a viable combo.
Yep.
Wait, is this once a turn or no? It's just whenever.
Yeah,
whenever.
You could exile everyone out of their libraries, but you would need to assemble a bad combo.
Yep. All right.
It's kind of hot though. I kind of want to try that.
Next bad card. Go ahead. You're up, Tyler.
All right. This is Selvala Eager Trailblazer, which is 2 and a green and a white for a 4/5 Vigilance Elf Scout. Whenever you cast a creature spell, make a 1/1 red mercenary creature token with tap target creature you control gains +1/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. And Selvala herself taps and says choose a color. Add 1 mana of that color for each different power among creatures you control. So, notably worse than the monogreen Selvala, and probably also worse than the other Selesnya Selvala. It's not great. It potentially gives you the option of making a lot of mana if you're casting a lot of non-token creatures and using those little 1/1 mercenaries to change your powers. But I think making them on its own, it doesn't really give you a ton of upside for those counters. You're in colors that care about that, but that's there's not really a viable creature token strategy for the most part. So I think it's really relevant that compared to mono green Selvala, where you're making mana in any combination of colors, this only produces 1 color of mana. So you can make a big pile of mana, but it's all going to be 1 color pip. So that kind of makes its appeal in the 99 as like a big mana generator, like Selvala occasionally is pretty bad. So I think you're in the territory where you're looking at this as a commander then, and don't do that. Just play Yasharn and call it a day.
Yeah, bad. Max has got that look on his face like he has an idea of why he put this in here, though. Go on. What is it?
I mean, it's just something like Elevere. You know what I mean? Someone that plays like 45 creatures where you're just trying to beat face real quick and actually stacks people out. Makes a lot of power on the board. Adds a little more mana. Just kind of does that. It's an option. I don't know if it's best. I don't know if it's optimal. It was worth bringing up a little bit. Some people were excited about it in the Discord.
Yeah, it's got a lot of the right words on it. I just think the rate just doesn't quite cut it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it also, like, by itself at 4 mana is a vigilant 4/5. Is also important. Like, it's fucking
That's
thick.
most of what I look for in CDH. Just big bodies.
Big bodies. Yeah. Big
Yeah. That's exactly. That's why you play Void when we're in Hubbard.
Yeah.
You guys are
That's
kidding
the
the players.
purpose.
That's all you guys do.
Yeah,
I don't even know what
all day long.
I don't even know what text they have on them. I just like them because they're huge.
Yeah, a 7-8 and 11-9.
Wow.
Holy
I
shit!
think we uncovered the truth is that all Kitten players are just Timmies. That's all.
Yeah, that was not a secret.
Yes,
bud.
that's how it's. It's actually how it started. Everyone knows this. Okay, our forefather is higher. And like, what do you?
Fair. I'm also confused about this next one too. So you gotta explain why this is good too.
The Gitrog Ravenous ride?
Yeah.
You don't want to ride a Gitrog monster? Alright, 5 mana, 6/5 trample haste. Obviously busted CDH stats. That's what we're looking for. Whenever Gitrog Ravenous rides, deals combat damage to a player, again, has trample and haste, so happens immediately. You may sacrifice a creature that's saddled at this turn. If you do, draw X cards and put up to X land cards from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, where X is a sacrifice creature's power. So again, very generic type of, like, you can do some sacky, draw cool stuff, power-based, Selvala type stuff with it. That's really cool. The thing I'm the most excited for and what I really want to pull off with this card is Wall of Blood.
Wait.
What?
Wait. Wall of Blood.
So Wall of Blood lets you pay 1 life. It lets you pay 1 life, and Wall of Blood gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So you can saddle Gitrog with this, swing with Gitrog trigger on the stack, put like 35 life into fucking Wall of Blood, and draw 35 cards.
Oh my god.
Build your own Adnos.
You are cooking.
Yeah, Necro. I'm cooking, bro. Wall of Blood, dude.
And if you play Wall of Blood, I guarantee you no one is going to care about you at all until you play Gitrog
Exactly.
Monster, and then you explain to them what you're doing, and they're going to be like, what? What are you doing? I'm sorry, what?
I would like to draw 35 cards, please.
Yeah, and you
That
draw
is pretty
35
crazy.
cards and then pass because you're in.
That's
you're
pretty
in,
hot.
Yeah, but you just pass because you're in freaking like black green and you can't do shit.
Well, it does still have to hit,
Let me-
right?
It is trample and haste. It's a 6.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if you pay all the life, it can still get removed before it hits, right? And then you
100%.
No. You wait till it hits and the trigger goes on the stack.
no. But saddle is only a sorcery. Remember?
No. You saddle it. You saddle
Yeah.
the Wall of Blood. So you put 1 life into Wall of Blood or whatever. You saddle it. You pay 1 life. Swing with Gitrog. Gitrog hits.
Then
Damage
you
trigger to
okay. I
sacrifice
see
on
what
the
you're
stack.
saying.
Yeah, but if they just
Pump
but all they have to
35
do is
life.
remove the Wall of Blood at that point, and then you lose all of that life. You draw no cards, and then you pass the turn.
Yeah, but what if it works?
Okay,
That would be sweet.
this is why I love you, Max. This is why. This is
Let
why.
me have my fun,
It's
bro.
right here. This is why.
See, you didn't cook hard enough to
No,
find the Wall of
love
Blood
it.
combo.
Love it.
All right.
This is funny though, because this is another weird one where that whatever that 1 mana 12/12 that it gets sacrificed unless you sacrifice things equal to its power. If saddle wasn't sorcery speed, like it's potentially pretty sweet there too.
Well, the
the
problem
problem
is
is the
that
trigger.
sacks itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
You know that's sick, bro. It's fucking
Oh, yeah,
awesome.
I'm amazed. Dude. Golgari, let's go. It's the new archetype coming to you from here.
Yeah, if
You're
you're really
here
lucky, you
first.
can draw into Chain of Smog so that you can lose to a single counter spell.
That's right. You will draw
Dude.
35 cards and die.
Yep.
Hey, that's the first thing you cast is a Veil of Summer, my guy.
Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Next card. Moving on to more Golgari madness. Vraska the Silencer, 1 black-green, Gorgon Assassin, Death Touch. Whenever a non-token creature an opponent control dies, you may pay 1. If you do, return that card to the battlefield tapped under your control. It's a treasure artifact with sacrifice this artifact and add 1 mana of any blah blah blah. You know that. And loses all other card types. So okay. It's almost good. Like I guess I don't understand how to make this CDH viable, because it'd be one thing if it came back as a treasure token, but it was still what it was before.
It is.
It still has all
It
the
has the
abilities.
It still
has all the abilities.
it had before.
Okay. So I can like,
it just loses the card types. It just loses card types.
so I can reanimate like a ranger captain, and it's still a ranger captain.
Correct. You pay 1 mana, you get a Ranger Captain when they sack their Ranger Captain.
Okay. Yeah, I actually like this card. I don't know what the hell I'd run it in, but I like it. I don't think I'd run it as a commander.
I think it's the commander.
It's got to be. Because your entire deck has to be built around it, basically. You have to be running so much targeted removal and preferably things that will remove multiple creatures at once. And it's my other issue here is that it's a very mana-hungry deck. Like, that effect is expensive.
Yeah, but you have green.
Huh? Yeah, I get that you have green. I mean, this is Culling Ritual's best friend, for sure. There's, like, certainly use cases where it really works out well. But I think if it doesn't work out well, it's not doing anything, and it also relies on accidentally finding synergies in your opponent's creatures that may not be there, right? Because the one thing that we don't have a lot of are creature draw engines that are really good and reliable. So unless you're hitting someone's Consecrated Sphinx somehow, that your best case scenario is you're like getting small stacks creatures, mana dorks, like that kind of thing. I think most of the time.
Yeah. Unless there's a way to like entomb your opponent, where you can search your library, put a creature in the graveyard, and then do this, then that'd be.
Yeah, but it requires a die.
But it just has to die. It has to die. You're right. So it's not even. You can't even mill it. You have to remove things. Yeah, it seems like it'd be really clunky and hard to pull off.
Yeah, I don't know if it's great, but it seems interesting. It seems viable. Ranger Captain, obviously being the best use case for it, is really, really intriguing for me always. Whenever you can snipe a Ranger Captain.
Yeah, I guess that's cool because you could do it in response. They crack their Ranger Captain, you get a Ranger Captain, you crack your Ranger Captain. Now we're all silenced. Pretty hot.
Yeah, get fucked.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
And then on top of after you've cracked your Ranger Captain, before theirs resolves, you cast Crop Rotation, get Emergent Zone, and win.
Yeah, but how do you win? That's the problem.
Golgari stuff. I don't know.
That is the problem. We've been over this with the Gitrog.
Exactly.
Whatever they do, I don't know. You cast a Gitrog and a Wall of Blood, and you fucking find a way.
Yeah. All right. All right. Who did that one? I don't even know. I did that one, right?
That was you.
Yeah, Talia, you're up.
We've been going a little out of order. Tyler, Marchesa.
Yeah.
All right. This is a Marchesa, Dealer of Death. It costs exactly Grixis, and it is a 3/4 human rogue. Whenever you commit a crime, you may pay 1. If you do, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So this is another commit a crime one. This is also very similar to the Vraska we just talked about in that you get a trigger that is not limited by number of times per turn you can do it, but does cost you 1 every time. So this is giving you card advantage in exchange for targeting your opponents or their stuff or countering their spells. This seems like kind of the best commit a crime trigger, but paying 1 every time is also a little rough. So I think that puts you in the awkward position of if you're trying to actually sort of get on a roll with this and like storm off a little bit, you really need to be doing this in main phase. But the other good use case for this is making your counter spells more valuable and filling your hand back up. So I think it's hard for me at least to evaluate whether that's giving you flexibility that you want or whether that's locking you into a play pattern that you don't want. I'm still not sure.
So I think it's locking you into a play pattern that you don't want, but you have to change that to being the play pattern that you want. And that is where everyone who I've talked about that has sent me a list for this, which I've been sent several fucking already for some reason of this exact card, and they're all just trying to do like normal Turbo Grixis stuff. And I'm like, okay, you've defeated the point of the commander, it provides you nothing. What I actually see as a level of viable with this commander is going legitimately Grixis control. Going full interactive, almost Talion style, complete dedicated control, where now every time you interact, you're also able to generate additional value and card advantage from it.
Yeah.
While still having the explosive Grixis win condition to snipe a win attempt when you want.
Right, and feeding your breach the whole time. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You load your, it's kind of like a different version of Kess in a way, but a little more enabling a control grindy strategy, because what's so important is not just enabling your graveyard, but when you need a commander, it can't just be enabling some kind of combo. Those are the decks that aren't good enough anymore. Your commander needs to be providing you a level of resource advantage. And the 2 primary resource advantages are mana and cards. Cards being the superior one in CDH, and this is a Grixis commander that enables more cards by itself. So if you don't want to be doing partners and you want to take a slower route to a Grixis victory, I think that this is a reasonable way to do it. I don't think it's the best Grixis deck by any means. I don't think it's about to immediately be top tier, but I definitely think it's viable in that really controlling type strategy.
Yeah, I think that the thing holding it back is that 1 mana that you have to pay each time. Like that,
Oh, if you didn't have to pay, this card's broken.
Yeah, but that's the problem. When you play a control deck, you don't have that minute to spare. Like you're trying to hold up interaction, and you have to tap an additional 1 each time, making your spells cost more, essentially, try to get that extra card. Like I think it becomes prohibitive and it becomes a problem, which is what I think.
Don't worry, you're putting Italian in the 99, my guy. Don't you?
Oh, 100%. But I'm also running Mystical War and Heuristic Study and maybe even the One Ring. But like it's not. I think that little 1 mana requirement kills this deck, unfortunately.
I mean, I think also being 3 pips makes it tougher, right? Like this is an engine that doesn't come down until turn 2 probably most of the time, and turn 3 a fair amount of the time, and that is rough because you're definitely not going to get immediate value off of it most of the time. You're going to cast it, need a turn cycle, and then you can start playing control. So committing to not playing any control before turn 3 is a rough place to be in a control deck.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah,
moving on. To what?
I said still worth a look. I think it's still a potentially strong Grixis commander. It's just a little slow.
Yeah, I agree. All right, moving on to Roxanne, Max.
Oh,
And he's gonna sing.
Nice.
You are my Starfall Savant. I don't know. When Roxanne Starfall Savant. Thank you. 3 green, red, 5 mana Gruul commander, legendary cat druid. When it enters the battlefield, you create a tapped, colorless artifact token named Meteorite, which is a real 5 mana card from a set like 10 years ago. When Meteorite enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target and has tap, add 1 mana of any color. I think this is the second or third time ever that they've actually created a real Magic card as a token that another card creates. Like I think the original one was Prosh making the Kobolds of Kirkheap, and then I think it's the they're not actually called Dryad Arbor, so I don't think whatever the land one is with X counts. But this one is legitimately makes Awake in the Woods, but this one legitimately makes a Magic card that exists. It makes Meteorite, so that's cool. But it's a food chain commander because you can infinitely do this with the food chain thing, and every single time that Meteorite comes into play, which is every time Roxanne comes into play, you do 2 damage to any target. So it gives you infinite damage through food chain, and then also it's kind of a Kinnan. Whenever you tap an artifact token for mana, add 1 mana of any type that artifact token produced. So your treasures and your token mana rocks like Meteorite will get double mana. So it is a mana enabling advantage commander that also has a food chain combo finish.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see this. I think we're gonna see this deck. I think some people are gonna try it. I don't think it's gonna stick around for too long, but they're gonna try it. And I think it'll sneak some wins in there. It's gonna do okay. It's just not gonna be good enough.
This is
long term.
This is the kind of deck that someone's gonna full commit to, and they're gonna end up with like a fully altered deck from the old '90s show or whatever, and everying. Just like
they'll be the Roxanne guy out there somewhere, 100%.
Yeah, the Roxanne guy. Yeah.
I think this would be really good if it was 3 mana, but at 5 mana, I'm just not even remotely interested.
Well, I mean, 5 mana, it's giving you a 5 mana card. Don't forget, Meteorite is a 5 mana spell from 10 years ago.
Listen, I played Limited back then, and I remember really liking Meteorite in Sealed, because Sealed is so slow to begin with, and it's like weird removal and taps for mana. Like, it was kind of okay in Sealed.
Yeah. Meteorite's all right. Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah. Sealed, CDH, same thing.
Yeah. So next one actually this is actually a good card that will see play for sure, and that's
real card.
Yeah. Satoru the Infiltrator, blue black, human ninja rogue, menace. So it's got everything. It's a ninja. It's got menace. Like and then it gets even better from there. So whenever Satoru the Infiltrator and 1 or more non-token creatures enters the battlefield under your control, perhaps by ninjutsu, if none of them were cast or no mana was spent to cast them, draw a card. So it is like, I mean, Yuriko is dancing. Like this is the ideal card for Yuriko. So and it's gonna see play at every single Yuriko deck from here on. It's an easy include in every way. I don't know anything that's bad about this card. I mean, it's well costed. It's got good power and toughness. It's got menace. It's got card advantage. I mean, it's just this card's really freaking good. Really good.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to see any downsides, honestly. Damn. I mean, I'm glad. I think Yuriko could have used a little boost. It wasn't bad to begin with, but being in 2 colors can be rough.
Yeah. This card's
great.
Cracked. It's maybe maybe one of the best cards in the set, honestly.
It also just lets you go like Cloudstone, Memnite type stuff. Or I guess Cloudstone doesn't work with Memnite.
No, not with Memnite, but Yeah.
So maybe it can be the. I'm trying to think because like all the 0 mana cards that aren't artifacts are like kobolds that are red.
Yeah, but it doesn't work anyway because you're casting them. Oh yeah, because 0 mana. You're not.
No. It says
no mana was spent.
Yeah.
Well, but you could do things like there's a lot of things you could do to reduce casting cost to 0. I mean, like again, you could do Rooftop Storm if you really wanted to with Gravecrawler because that's what we're talking about in this episode.
True.
Yeah, but no, this card's great. Absolutely great.
Yeah. That's what we titled this episode when the thumbnail is this the greatest set for Gravecrawler ever?
Yeah.
Very well might be.
and then we go from a great card back to Golgari.
Oh goodness. Yep, we've got
what exactly do you fucking have against Golgari? Let's talk about this, Max. What the fuck? What do you got against green, my guy?
I just like winning games, generally speaking.
Okay.
I love green, but I also think
Kellen
Golgari is the worst 2-color combination in Siege.
Yep.
Orzhov.
No, Orzhov's getting better.
It is getting better.
Golgari gets Hulk. It gets Culling Ritual. Like,
wow.
Both Orzhov and Golgari suck, but together they're good.
All right. So this card is Vraska Joins Up. It's a legendary enchantment for 1 black and 1 green. When it enters the battlefield, you put a death touch counter on each creature you control, and whenever a legendary creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So a powerful effect when we're talking about having many legendary creatures, but having many legendary creatures in play and reliably having them connect, even if they have death touch and are unappealing to block, I feel like that doesn't happen a lot. So we're talking about high potential upside, but outside of that. The 5-color Joda deck or like Yoshimaru, I feel like I'm not really seeing the use case here. No, Max has got an idea.
So
all right, let's hear it.
Yeah. This lets you could finally cut Niambi out of Sisei.
Okay.
Like Niambi has always been the worst of the 2-color 2-mana legends, and Sisei really needs 2-color 2-mana legends. And Niambi is like, okay, it kind of protects Sisei, but every time someone has ever gotten Niambi, I'm like, why didn't you just get Kinnan? It's better and it pays for your commander tax anyway. Like Kinnan's just better than Niambi. It doesn't protect it, whatever. Now you can cut Niambi, add in this 2-mana 2-color enchantment that is also card advantage when you swing with your Sisei, and people don't block Sisei because that shit is just bigger than your stuff because it's a 5/5 immediately.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see that. That's a good call.
Let me cook.
Fair enough.
No, it's for Sisei. Also it puts a death touch counter on Sisei, so they're guaranteed to not block.
You're not attacking with Sisei that much anyway. So.
You always attack with Sisei.
Really?
Yeah, the shit is huge.
Yeah.
No one can ever block it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. So it was already huge and unblockable, but now it's even more unblockable, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but now it draws you cards.
Okay. Yeah.
Cards are important in CDH.
I mean,
really
sure.
important.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess it gives you like whatever. I'm not even gonna say anymore. We'll move on to an actual really good Magic card.
Okay.
Go ahead. It's yours, Max.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Stella Lee Wild card. 1 colorless, 1 blue, 1 red, 3 mana total, legendary creature, human rogue. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. It's like a shitty Ob Nixilis trigger. Cool. You can tap this 2/4 and copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Activate only if you've cast 3 or more spells this turn. Why the fuck are people hype on this? This card's trash. I don't see it.
I think it's all about.
This is one I was told to add. What?
Yeah, because it goes infinite really easily. You run a bunch of cantrips, cheap, easy cantrips, and then you get your 3 spells off, and then you go infinite with a copy spell. You cast a lightning bolt, you cast a fork, you win.
No, that's not how it works, because the forks have to endlessly copy the forks. You don't get 2 copies of the fork. Wait, 1 second.
No.
Whenever you cast your second copy target instant source spell, you may choose new targets for the copy. Yeah, this does not work how you think this works. It's not like a Saw and Half combo with Dual Caster, because you only get 1 copy, so if you want to go infinite,
you need
to copy the copy.
No, you cast a lightning bolt, you hold priority, you cast a fork targeting the lightning bolt, and then you copy the fork with Stella, targeting the fork. Oh, I guess that doesn't work, does it?
You end up with 1 extra that way.
Let him cook.
I don't know
Yeah,
a way
it
in
doesn't
which
work.
this goes infinite. It might. I haven't been.
Everyone
reading
keeps talking
everything.
about it. I assume there's got to be a way.
Well, so the infinite thing works if you have like a Ralziric or something that does damage whenever
Well, you need
copy a
another
spell.
copier
Like,
on
then-
top of this copier and 3
Yeah.
spells? No.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is way too many pieces. Why are people high on this card? I don't see it at all. This is trash.
I think it's just the second spell each turn part. Like, this
that's
is
not
card
good.
advantage,
That's cool.
and it's end of next turn, not end of this turn. Yeah, I'm not saying it's good enough, but it's slow card advantage, and it also asks you to just like sit back. And I'm not convinced that this is better than Niv Mizzet, but it's close. It's cheaper. It's a different style of Mizzet deck, and there's so few Izzet commanders that I think it's garnered a lot of attention because it feels viable, even if it's not like stellar.
I don't see it. Now that I tried to walk myself through it, I don't see it. I don't see it at all. In fact, I'm totally confused now as to what. I
mean-
Twin Flame. It just seems really hard to make it work, and you got to run a lot of shitty cards to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could be missing something really obvious, but I think the second half of the text here, all that's really doing is like making sure that you win a combo war on your winning turn. Like that's the only time I see that being consistently useful. Right. Certainly you can get some incidental value out of that, but
Just because
Okay, I'm now doing the research. We're on Reddit. It says there is a lot of 1-card combos with this card. Name one. Okay.
There's infinite dramatic reversal.
Okay. So Dramatic Reversal and Hidden Strings gives you infinite mana and permanent untaps.
That's 2 cards. It's not a 1 card.
Cerulean. Yeah, I know. Cerulean.
Cerulean Wisps.
Cerulean Wisps. Refocus and Twitch
That's
let you
3
draw your
cards.
deck. Twisted Fealty makes your opponent. What is Twisted Fealty?
It's like a gain control of something and add a roll token to it. The gain control of a creature.
Makes them lose infinite life. Ow.
By itself?
Untap.
Because the Wicked Roll.
Oh, that's kind of hot, actually. That does work. So Twisted Fealty goes infinite with this. Yes. It's a 3-mana sorcery that you would target Stella Lee, and then you tap Stella Lee.
Oh,
make
and
a
then when
copy
the
of
new
Twisted
roll gets
Fealty.
attached,
Untap
it drops
it, yeah.
it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
Okay.
so Twisted Fealty actually goes infinite. This is bad. Cerulean Wisps. Let me read this card. Is this one individual as well?
Untap gains haste. Right?
Target creature becomes okay. So Cerulean Whips also 1 card goes infinite, draws your deck. Refocus, untap target creature, draw your deck. Twitch, untap, draw your. Okay, so all of these cards that I listed, they weren't 3 cards together. They were individual cards that draw your deck. Dramatic Reversal gives you infinite mana. Hidden Strings gives you infinite mana because it untaps other lands. So yeah, all of those cards are 1-card combos that essentially draw you your deck or make infinite mana. So it does do cool things, but the restriction of cast 3 spells to turn on that ability, I think, is too strong. If it didn't have that clause, I might be interested. With the clause of requiring to cast 3 spells, I have no interest in this.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
fair. You have to
That does seem
lower the
rough.
card quality of the deck really, really low to run enough, basically cantrips to turn it on. Plus the bad cards that don't do anything without it. I think it's too rough. I don't want to run that either.
I will say, if there's ever a card that really asks you to only win over top of other people's wins, this kind of seems like it, right? If you're only trying to initiate this after you are already losing a counter war on someone else's win, but I still think it's
Yeah, it seems pretty rough.
You calling Stella Lee a little parasite? Is that what we're doing?
no,
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad. It wants you to jump through too many hoops.
Yep. And like I said, the card quality goes through the floor to try to run enough things to make it work. So no, thank you. This is another one of
You're
those
like
decks where
CK out
like
of the
you
room
don't
real
get
quick.
Stella or someone kills your Stella and then you're like, well, good game, guys. Have fun. I'll just sit here. The next 2 cards I added, Laughing Jasper Flint being the first one, another good Rakdos 3-drop. This one's a 4/3. It costs black, red, and 1. Legendary creature, Lizard Rogue. Creatures you control but don't own are mercenaries in addition to their other types. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top X cards of target opponent's library, where X is the number of outlaws you control. Until end of turn, you may cast spells from among those cards, and mana of any type can be spent to cast those spells. So the reason I like this for Florian in particular is you combine it with the other 2 cards I mentioned for Florian, Tinybones and Kaervek. So at that point, you're doing the thing where you're gradually taking more and more creatures from your opponents, and you're getting access to their deck to make up for the weaknesses of Rakdos, and it will snowball very quickly, I think. I don't know if I want to run all 3 of those or I just want to run 1 or 2, but it's pretty neat synergy, I think, between those 3 cards.
Do you think you would just run Laughing Jesper as the commander?
No.
And just like fill it with all of these random
No.
mercenary outlaw type cards?
I think it's
No, hell no.
interesting. I mean, I will say, like, there's a reasonable number of cards that are less than 3 mana that are outlaw types. So, like, Ragavan, both of the Tinybones, obviously, Conspicuous Snoop, Deathy Voidwalker, Dockside, of course, Francisco, I guess, is a pirate. Direfleet Daredevil, which occasionally sees play. There's like incidental cards that do have these types, right? It's not like the weirdest types in the world, and the effect is pretty powerful. I think where it breaks down is just that it's still going to cost all the mana that anything costs. So, like, if this worked as a commander, it would be because you're sitting down at a table against like 3 Rogside decks whose entire deck costs basically 0, right? And you can just cast everything in the world. Like, as soon as you're not in that scenario, I think it's probably just not consistent enough.
I like it because I can do things like I can attack with Ragavan, right? I get the synergy of flipping a creature that I can then cast. I cast the creature, it becomes a mercenary. So now when I attack next time, now I get access to 2 cards, and hopefully one of those is another creature, and then I get access to 3 cards, and I'm getting Florian triggers on top of that. So just like creates a lot of card velocity very quickly, and that's kind of what I see it.
Very quickly is a stretch.
Yeah, it definitely can snowball.
2 turns. Give it 2
I'm
or 3
gonna agree
turns.
that it's
and
not
it gets out of
fast.
control. Yeah, it's a grind. You're right. It's not a fast. It's not a fast strategy. It's a slow strategy, but it's a cool one. And
Right, so the same way that Grixis Control sounds kind of stupid and shitty, like slow Rakdos counts as shitty,
yeah, but
you know what I mean?
my magical fairy Christmas land idea is like I go and I swing out with Jasper and Florian, and I hit 7 cards, and then I exile like 3 cards at the top of my opponent's library, and 2 of them are counter spells, and then I'm like, okay, now I have protection. Let me resolve this Adnaz, get fucked.
Didn't I like a few cards ago was talking about Christmas land scenarios to try and sell you guys on things? You told me not to bring up Christmas land scenarios as a reason to sell someone on things.
But it's okay when I do it. It's okay when I do it. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Yeah,
You do look more like Santa than out of the 2 of us. I'll give you that.
yeah. The next one, Tyler, what do you think of Anti-Flash? And I'll tell you what I think after you. But what do you think of Anti-Flash?
I think it's got powerful effects, but it raises my eyebrows really high anytime we seriously talk about a 6-mana commander, because then we're
Right.
then we're in the realm of Tivit and other things that are just going to win the game. And I think this can, but I think it requires a lot more setup. So, should I go ahead and read the card?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anti-Flash, the veteran, is 3 and Naya for a 4/5 with Flash. Human Rogue. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Great. When it becomes tapped, exile the top 2 cards of your library, and you may play those cards this turn. So,
Yeah.
do you want to jump in with why you wanted to add it?
So I think you're right. I think the fact that it costs 6 is really the problem. But it is green, so it's not that hard to get to 6, I don't think. You can run things like Tinderwall, you can run excuse me, you can run both Spirit Guides. There's lots of ways to get to 6 pretty quickly. Of course you can run Dockside. The thing I like about it, and I'm cooking, is I can do Quirion Ranger plus a Shia to go infinite and get my whole deck. And things like Relic of Legends and Twiddle Storm type approach to the commander. I can untap it, tap it, get access to lots and lots of cards, and then it's like a Savin's Reclamation on a stick, and it's at flash, so I can do things like do it on someone's end step, so I can be untapped for my turn. So like I think it has some potential, but I think ultimately it will fall short because it's just 6 damn mana. If it was yeah,
I'll give it to you though. Curian Ranger Ashaya was cooking. I didn't think of that one immediately.
That is really cute, but like it sounds like your desire is to just build Tayam that costs 6 mana, and I don't understand why.
But flash and card advantage.
Yeah, and access to red. Yeah, these are nice things.
And it's not Tayam.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Best point you've made so far. Yeah.
I mean, I'm brewing. I have a list already. I have a list.
I don't know, Max. Did you see my April Fool's joke in the Kellen Discord?
No, I didn't see that.
I didn't.
But I was playing Tayam for Punt City 3.
Oh, no, that's too far. No one's gonna buy that. Come on, that's way too far.
They did for a second, dude.
If you had said you were playing Florian, they would have totally bought it. They would have absolutely. Everyone would have bought it if you said that.
Tyler, when you go to the Colors of Crutch Discord, you'll see our last announcement was yesterday, where I admitted that Florian was a superior deck and all these things, and how I just lacked the vision, I lacked the awareness, like what day it was, April Fool's, bitches.
Nice.
Yeah, it's okay. All right, I'm not hurt.
So any flash, I don't know. If it had haste and you could at least always take advantage of the second part of that ability or ability text, like maybe it would be a little more appealing if you're also looking at 2 cards immediately.
That's why you run Relic of Legends and Springleaf Drum and saddle up I don't know, Gitrog monster or something. I don't know.
There you go. Wall of Blood, baby. Yeah. No, say it with me. Anti-Flash is trash. That's fucking, I don't know.
I'm gonna build it just because of this conversation. I'm gonna build it in paper and I'm gonna try it.
I would love to see it become
real.
real.
To not letting you win a game.
I'm gonna run Conspicuous Snoop combo, and I'm gonna run the Ashaya Quirion Ranger. I'm gonna run Dockside Curio loops and do nothing with them and win the game somehow. I don't know how, but I will.
I 100% agree that you will eventually win the game with that deck, and when you do win the game with that deck, it will have to do with just doing Naya things. It will not have to do with Anti-Flash.
Every viable 6-mana commander in CEDH is blue and has much better text than this card. They win the game pretty much. Like Tivit's an insane value engine and attracts and draws you 10 cards. Like it's fucking. And
you guys don't believe in me. You don't believe in me. It's not.
I believe in you. I don't believe in this card, bud. It's not worthy of you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. But I'm still gonna build it.
Max, one of these days, you just need to hop on like a good deck. You know what I fucking dude. He proxied my Kellen list and he was playing it and he got so hyped about it immediately after playing it 5 times. He was like, I might play this at Punt City 3. We might have to do some coaching. Like
I did the same thing to my roommate.
Every time I play Kellen, I smack people. It's great. All right, moving on. Tyler, I think we go back to you now, right?
I just did Any Flash, I think. Someone else.
Oh yeah, you did Any Flash. So it's Max. You're up. I can't keep track of it.
Okay. The order got changed at some point, I think. I don't know. This is Pest Control, which also, this I should give a little thing here. We're recording this on Tuesday, April 2nd. There is still technically a couple days of spoilers. So there's a chance we miss 1 or 2 viable cards that are released in the next couple of days. Before we leave, I'm going to quickly check the cards that were released in the last 2 hours. We'll see if there's anything worth talking about. But this card is called Pest Control. It is 1 white, 1 black, 2 mana, sorcery, destroy all non-land permanents with mana value 1 or less, and it has cycling 2. It's half of a culling ritual, but it's really less than half of a culling ritual because it doesn't make the mana, which is really the best part about culling ritual, not the board wipe part of culling ritual. But it's good. It gets rid of a lot of shit. It's a good tempo card, and you can cycle it away if it's not in a position to be good. So I like that flexibility, where it's never truly dead. You can always just like go to the next card if you need to, and it's a really good tempo card. I mean, if you're playing a lot of we talked about this before, like Malcolm Timna was a deck we talked about. Just kind of wants to get Malcolm and Timna down. Doesn't play a lot of they don't really need their mana rocks on 1 and such. And if you can just go a turn cycle and everyone plays out their Soul Rings and their Birds of Paradise and their Esper Sentinels, and you just Pest Control away the board, that's like a really strong tempo play. And if you hit it late game, you say, okay, new card.
Yep.
Not the end of the world.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's not
Exactly.
great. It lacks flexibility, but the fact that it like cleans up treasure and clue tokens and that sort of thing is appealing. It definitely hits like the really early, um, kind of like what you think of as like the emblematic Grixis turns, where it's just like opening is Mana Crypt, Chrome Box, and Mana Vault and pass, and it's just like all right, I'm gonna blow that shit up. And having
Yep.
cycling is good. I think this could afford to be an instant. To be honest, I don't think it has to be a sorcery, and if it was an instant, I would be a lot more impressed. But I think it's good in a vacuum, but it's going to have a hard time actually finding a home just because of how narrow it is. So, cycling 2, sort of fixes that, but not all the way.
I think this is a card you want to see
Yeah.
when you're in 4th seat, and
Yeah,
you're just, you're like, oh god, I'm so far behind, and then you draw this card and you like play your Mox Diamond or whatever. You play this and blow everyone all the way the fuck out and start over.
Get rid of your Mox Diamonds.
I mean, yes, but at that point it's worth it, right? Because you blew everyone else out and reset the game,
Yeah.
and you play all of the rest of your mana rocks afterwards. So, yeah,
Yeah, it's possible.
okay. We got 2 more cards left. This one is the most adorable card in the whole set. This is.
I want to pet him.
I want to cuddle him, dude. I want like
He's so cute.
I want one. I'm gonna buy this card just because I like it. Like even if I don't play it,
It's really cute.
but it's also really playable. This is Loot, the key to everything. Teamer, and it is red, blue, and green. Ward 1. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of card types among other non-land permanents you control. You may play those cards this turn. So think about it. You're going to be running at least a creature, a land, and an artifact. That's 3 cards every
non-land
upkeep.
permanents.
Oh, no land. Okay. All right, I'll slow down.
Yeah, I think you get
It's still
artifact
2.
creature easy.
It's still 2. Right? Very easy. And if you get it, like you play, turn 1 Mystic Remora, now you're looking at 3 cards a turn. Just off of this. That's pretty hot. And it's got wards, so it's a little harder to kill. It's got 2 toughness, so it doesn't die to Orcish Bowmaster sneezes. So this is an interesting card, and it's a cool color combo too. The only downside really is that it doesn't combo with anything, right? It's just card advantage, and three color pips in the command zone is, like you mentioned earlier, Tyler, is just sometimes hard to get on the field.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, generic teamer. If you look at the viable teamer decks, so obviously Dark Thras is the premier one. What makes Dark Thras so terrifying is the explosiveness, win the game out of nowhere potential of it. This doesn't enable that kind of stuff.
Right.
So this is very generic good pile teamer, where you just want the cards you're getting to be generically good. It's almost like Blue Farm but teamer, where you're just like, okay, I will get cards and they will be good viable cards. But it's also, they don't go into your hand. They're just into exile for that turn. It's viable because it is really, really solid card advantage to just easily draw an extra 2 cards a turn. Like, that's super nice. Draw with heavy quotation marks. But yeah, the lack of enabling anything specific means you still have to rely on other teamer win cons, but this commander doesn't enable any of the Tidespout stuff or any of the Thrasio stuff, so you're kind of just hoping that your combos are assembled from your deck. So maybe you're a Breach deck, maybe you're doing like Kin and Basalt 99 stuff, but then your commander's on outlet. Maybe you do a Hullbreaker, but then you, similar to Tau, you need like a clone outlet to do something, but you don't play Bowmasters or anything. It's a bit weird in like what you'd actually be doing with it, but the card advantage itself is very strong.
Yeah,
I agree.
Okay.
With all of that for sure. I love Teamer as a color combo, so I really am inclined to try and justify this maybe more than I should. But I will say, first of all, I think it might be kind of a little easier than it seems at first blush to hit the 3 point. Like, obviously, artifacts and creatures, it's pretty easy to have those down by the time you hit this. But if you lean into cards that have fallen a little more out of favor, such as Wild Growth, Sylvan Library, Carpet of Flowers, that sort of thing, I think there's plenty of worthwhile enchantments early on enough that you probably can trigger the enchantment stuff reasonably well. And I mean, you've also got your stuff like Destiny Spinner, that is both a creature and an enchantment. I also think it's worth pointing out that if you were to treat this more as like the is it the 5 or 6 mana Narset, the one that like basically runs extra turn spells to try and abuse the fact that it's hitting. I think that might be a viable way to actually find synergy with the commander. It's just not appealing because if they get countered, you're completely screwed. So the card advantage is good. I also think it's worth noting that the fact that it's play those cards this turn, not cast those cards this turn, does mean that you're going to keep hitting land drops all game, which is not nothing. But yeah, probably not good enough.
Good point.
I really like the card, and I'm curious to see if it is one of those ones that is just incremental and innocuous enough to kind of run away with the game once it has time to snowball a little bit.
I mean, are you gonna be playing this on the Best Commander from Thunder Junction Play to Win video? Heard it here first.
Ooh, I will not be in that video. As a matter of fact, I will be in Cancun while they are filming that.
Oh no!
Damn. All right. Well, we're on the last card, so Tyler, why don't you take us home with the last card?
Sure. This is Transmutation Font, which is a 5-mana artifact, and it says tap, create your choice of a blood token, a clue token, or a food token. And for 3 and tap it, you can sacrifice 3 artifact tokens with different names to search your library for an artifact card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Activate only as a sorcery. So were it not for that last part, this would probably be a lot better. Activate only as a sorcery does kind of suck there, for sure. But I think there's probably some niche use cases. It certainly makes Academy Manufacturer look a lot better than it does on its own. I guess I meant that the other way around. Academy Manufacturer makes this look a lot better than it does on its own. But tutoring any artifact in a world where Portal to Phyrexia exists is really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worse at it than stuff like Magda or Ark of Daxon or any of that kind of jazz, but it's something.
Yeah, this is a rough one because I mean, yeah, like you said, manufacturer. So what's that? 8 mana total you gotta put down to get the, and then you gotta wait a turn because you create you tap it, you get your treasure, or you get your tokens, then you go to the next turn, and then at sorcery speed you can then do the Magda thing. Seems rough. And you can't even do it repeatedly.
Probably shouldn't have added this one.
Yeah, and you can't do it. You can't do it over and over again either. I mean, I guess here. How about this? I found it. IsoRev outlet.
Hey, it is an IsoRev outlet.
Yeah, there you go.
Is it?
But it's not in your command zone. Yeah, because you can infinitely untap this to then infinitely. Oh no, because you can only. Yeah, it is because you can still do sorcery speed with IsoRev. So yeah, you can search for any number of artifacts in your deck with IsoRev, which should be able to win you the game if you were actually built that way. But that's terrible.
Right, but IsoRev just wins you the game anyway in any deck that wants to run it.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, 100%. IsoRev also just wins with Walking Ballista, right? So, yeah. All right. Well,
we're cooking.
Interesting card, but probably not going to see CDH play.
Yeah,
probably not it.
No. And I went and looked, and there's no new spoilers since we talked before we started. So
I also did. Yeah.
I think we're good there. So, Tyler, thanks for joining us, man. This was fun.
Absolutely.
Little cooking action going on here, but yeah.
So, favorite card from the ones we talked about? What you got, Max P?
I mean, it's got to be Annie. Come on, let's go.
You did make a really strong case. That's for sure.
How about you? What do you think?
For me, it's definitely Teensy Bones. Like I just love the OG so much, even though I don't think it's great. That's still definitely my favorite card from the set. I can't help it.
Oh yeah,
we're allowed to have pick cards.
I'm looking at Aven Interrupter or Lively Dirge. I think is underrated. Lively Dirge is sick, but really, I think the best card from the set might be Satoru. Satoru's so good.
Yeah, I think it's the best. It's not my favorite card, but it's the best card by far.
Yeah, I think Max doesn't understand the differentiation between favorite and best. It's just like this is the same thing. What are you talking about?
I'm a Kinnan player. What do you mean, bro?
Yeah, because this is like CDH. You're trying to win games. Like fuck that. Like it's flavor, man. Let's go. Come on.
Do you know how fucking cool it is that we've hit this point in the format, though, that like Kinnan was the pet deck and now it's the best deck? Like that's so sick.
Yeah,
it's
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
We're the threat now.
Yeah, I mean it's no Florian, but it's pretty good. That's for sure.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a good time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, Tyler, man, it's always great talking to you, dude. I'm sorry you're not going to Punt City because I would have loved to hang out,
Me too, but I'll see you in Columbus. It's not that long after.
Yep, definitely.
Oh, Columbus will be great.
So Max, you wanna?
Hey, should I take us out?
Yeah, take us out.
Yeah, do the thing. Thank you so much.
I'm keeping that in.
Sure. Thank you so much for listening to the Colors of a Crutch podcast. My name is Max Sturberg, also known as Wounded Satellite. I was joined by my incredible, amazing co-host, Max P. the Italian Man. And we were joined by the fucking godfather of Kinnan, the reason that so many of us play him, the reason I'm playing CDH, the play-to-win specialist Kinnan Man himself, Tyler motherfucking Buck. For some reason called Ransby online.
Thank you so much for having me.
I had you mistakenly in my primer in the credit section as Tyler Ransby for so long.
You told me that cracks me up.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoy our channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to support us even more, feel free to check out our Patreon, link in the description below. If you want to join the conversation outside of here, feel free to join our Discord, link to that also in the description below. And if you're interested in CDH coaching and you want to hit me up for that, please find me on Discord as Wounded Satellite or on Twitter as Wounded Satellite. We can get that started. Appreciate you guys, and we look forward to talking to you next week. Thank you.